Texas has a group of educators that are trying to influence upcoming historical lessons in ways that I think you might be able to guess how this is going. They want to talk about slavery, but there's a new term that they want to use. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Let's go straight into the details here. So a group of Texas educators have proposed to the Texas State Board of Education that slavery should be taught as involuntary relocation during second grade social studies instruction. During second grade, the group's proposing these second grade curriculum revisions was given a copy of a Senate Bill 3, Texas's law that dictates how slavery and issues of race are taught in Texas. The law states that slavery can't be taught as part of the true founding of the United States, and that slavery was nothing more than a deviation from American values. Part of the proposed draft standards here, obtained by the Texas Tribune, say that students should quote, compare journeys to America, including voluntary Irish immigration and involuntary relocation of African people during colonial times. Again, second grade education. They're supposed to be teaching young folks about this as the basis for how they understand how this country was built. More, because the suggested language here, it surfaced late. It's from its June 15th meeting that they had, and it lasted more than 12 hours. Luckily, there was some pushback from the folks that were getting told this ridiculousness, and this is what happened here. Board member Aicha Davis, a Democrat who represents Dallas and Fort Worth, raised concerns during this June 15th meeting that the term wasn't a fair representation of the slave trade. The board sent the draft back for revision, urging that the educator group to carefully examine the language used to describe events. I'm sure that was the very nice way that they'd say, take this garbage back and give us something that makes sense. So more, I can't say what their intention was, but that's not going to be acceptable, is what Aicha said. But they're not done with this whole thing yet. The working group of 9 educators that did this is one of many such groups that's advising the state education board to make curriculum changes. Now this summer, the board will consider updates to social studies instruction a year after lawmakers passed a law to keep topics that make students feel discomfort. That's the quote, feel discomfort out of their Texas classrooms. And also, the once a decade process updates what children learn in the state's nearly 8,900 public schools. But the board is considering curriculum changes 1 year after Texas passed the law to eliminate topics from schools that make students feel discomfort. Okay, so they usually do this nearly a decade a time, in gaps of time. But because there's this new law saying, hey, we have to make sure that we change the way that we talk about enslaved people in this country and how this whole country came together. We need to do this right away. Very similar to when they're looking to protect people in the country that they deem more important than the rest of the citizens. They're really quick to do these types of things when they really want to. It actually tells you how fast that things can actually work when people are motivated.
Well, of course, and Republicans move 1,000 times faster than Democrats. So if they're going to take away your freedom or your education or anything like that, they'll do it in a second. Democrats will get around to it, to reversing it in approximately 180 years. So look, they've got all sorts of fake words that are cleaned up versions of reality. So you remember Dick Cheney did enhance interrogation. So how was it enhanced? It was enhanced by doing torture. That's what it was, and they just put a slightly more technical term on it to clean it up. And now slavery is apparently involuntary relocation. Well, okay, involuntary doesn't sound too good, but hey, you're relocating. That's bad, but well, if it's not that bad, you guys mind if we involuntarily relocate you, right wingers? Oh, did we forget the part about the whippings and the lynchings and the murders and the rapes and the taking away of your kids and treating you as property and making you do all the work? Oh, you wanted to leave that out? Why? Because you want to lie about history. Why? Because you still kind of like it. So now that's the part that they're gonna say, oh no, that's not true. Really? I hated slavery. I don't mind teaching it because I think it was terrible. We should never do it again. Why would I mind teaching that? You mind teaching it. Why do you mind teaching it? Think about it. You mind it because you think, oh, that was us, that was me. I don't know, you're weirdly self-defensive about it. Look, hey, red state idiots. If you're white, it doesn't mean you did it. That's not what it means. Okay, look, I'm Turkish here, maybe this could help relate. Turks had a giant empire, did a lot of terrible things, okay? I didn't do it. And it doesn't mean I go and say, oh, don't ever teach it. No, teach it. Teach things like, by the way, the Armenian genocide that a Turkish empire did. It doesn't make any sense to erase history. When you say, no, don't do it, don't teach it, that basically means like, was it so bad? Yes, it was so bad. And yes, there's no harm in teaching actual history unless you think it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, I think honing in on this sentence is really raising a lot of different things for me, because going back it says, yeah, involuntary relocation of African people during colonial times. So obviously, there's the big problem is the euphemism here for slavery, which is very much on par with like Nazi level propaganda. But then also this during colonial times is really interesting, because that, they're trying to say that the slave trade was only happened during colonial times, like therefore before the nation of the United States was created, before the Constitution. And that's also not true. The slave trade continued 18, 20 years into the founding of the nation. And so, they're doing two things in this statement. They're obviously teaching children a different euphemism when slavery more than covers it, and also is more like second graders are way more able to understand the concept of slavery than involuntary relocation. But also just important to note that not only are they using that language, but they're also trying to insinuate that the slave trade, this involuntary relocation, was prior to the actual founding of the country, which it is not the case. And then again, just another thing is like this discomfort. It's like discomfort for whom? Like this is the same state that is legislating like anything to do with LGBT rhetoric out of the classroom. And yeah, it's discomfort for the exact people in power. So there's just so many levels of ridiculous here.
They're talking about, I'm glad you brought up the feeling discomfort, because again, that's what Florida was talking about when they're trying these changes in education. So again, this is the hierarchy of who they think matters in the country. Do you think they're concerned with who feels discomfort? Maybe the descendants of the folks that you called involuntarily relocated to this country. The descendants of those people, are they feeling uncomfortable when they go home and say, hey mom, here's my homework assignment. We're talking about involuntary relocation. And she goes, what the hell is this? This is ridiculous. Should she feel discomfort? And then when she goes to the school and says, hey, I'm a parent who wants to advocate for my child because you guys are giving parental rights and our influence over our child's education, do you know what they'll say to them? No, that has nothing to do with you. We're actually not talking about you. You're a second-class citizen. You see, because we're continuing that same thought process from that involuntary relocation energy that our ancestors put forward, and we're trying to continue that into now, so that you guys don't understand how our progression has gone from that to what we're doing today. Because they don't want people to be fighting back and actually have some kind of basis for their arguments and for their protests and for, honestly, they're advocating for their children's education to actually learn what happened. It's a complete rewriting of history.
Yeah, and I'm gonna weigh in on this as well. The feeling discomfort, we're indisputably correct, because you could feel discomfort either way. So hey, don't teach about gay people because non-gay people are feeling discomfort. Well, when you tell people don't teach about the existence of gay people, gay students feel discomfort, gay parents feel discomfort. So are they allowed to then say, no, you're not allowed to teach about straight people? Like in health class, for example? Or you're not allowed to not teach about gay people? Whose discomfort are we talking about? How about in this particular case? You don't think that the descendants of those folks that, as JR said, you are claiming were involuntarily relocated might feel discomfort at you trying to sanitize slavery? No, they literally mean if white right-wingers feel discomfort, we get to veto anything we like. Otherwise, it makes no sense at all. Okay, can I say, well, you know what? I'm a parent in a school. I feel discomfort that they're teaching the Armenian genocide. Boom, veto, now they can't teach it. That's insane. How do I get the veto? Well, I felt discomfort, right? Can Germans say that's it, you're not allowed to teach about the Nazis? I feel discomfort. Can Nazis who are not German say, I feel discomfort that you're saying the Nazis are bad? Okay, now I gotta take it out of the classrooms and out of the textbooks. Can someone say, I feel discomfort that 2 + 2 = 4? You're not allowed to teach facts anymore if idiot right-wingers feel uncomfortable. Man, science is making, and by the way, this is very real, guys. You get to 2 + 2 = 4 and you think, oh, come on, right? No, they took out math books in Florida because they claimed it was talking about critical race theory. And then they found out later, oh, it just mentioned a black guy. Oh, come on. They're literally doing it. And on science, it's a disaster. Evolution is real, it's science. It's not debatable. And they're like, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that we are, with the other, that we're an animal. That makes me uncomfortable. I think I'm a celestial figure. So don't teach science.
I think they need a safe space.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with education, and it's all politics. And it's really sad because the people who will suffer the most are the kids who are subject to this curriculum. It's really, really, really a shame. And I believe it's the same state that in their textbooks referred to slaves as workers. So, or maybe that was Florida. I'm not actually sure. One of the two, but
anymore.
Yeah, no, Texas,
right, yeah.
Texas is making a real run in Florida. Let's note that for wackiest, craziest state. Last thing I'll end on. Guys, this is literal political correctness. Both the Soviets and the Nazis did political correctness. It's in the documents, it's tracked. And what they would say to their media and to their education officials, including their teachers, is do not teach things that are factually correct. Teach things that are politically correct. So if it's against the Nazi ideology or the Soviet ideology, do not teach it even if it's true. You must teach the things that we consider politically correct. So that is exactly what Republicans are doing in this country right now. Do not teach evolution. It is factually correct, but it is not politically correct. Do not teach slavery. It is factually correct, but not politically correct because it hurts our feelings. It makes us feel uncomfortable. This is madness. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.